Awesome. Thank you. All right. Looks like we're live. All right. Welcome, everyone. So, tonight is going to be a little bit of a short training. All day today, I've been wandering around going, wow, it's only like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Why does it feel like 10 p.m.? I'm like, oh, right. I didn't get that much sleep last night. And I've been really busy through the days. So, that's good. It's kept me out of trouble. Um, so, what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about 3 ways to help you get unstuck. And so, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach, and I help people with feelings of anxiety, depression, frustration, anger, sadness, grief, any of those challenging emotions, and I help you shift from those perspectives into a happier perspective by sharing my personal experience, strength, and hope. And the goal of this training is for you to actually take something away from it that you can apply to your life today to help make it better. And so I myself will share of my own personal experiences. I've been through a lot of past trauma, had an attempt on suicide back when I was 17, and I'm still here. So I think this qualifies me to talk about this particular subject. And what I do is I share things that actually work for me that I've learned through therapy, through group therapy, a bunch of different things, and I also tie into it the experience that I've learned through change management practices and principles. And so sometimes I will give personal examples, sometimes I'll give business examples. So let's talk about when you're feeling stuck. How many times have you guys been in a situation where you kind of know the things that you need to do, but you can't seem to actually take that action? You can't seem to move forward on something. You know, it just feels like there's this one missing piece of the puzzle, and if you just had that missing piece, everything would click and fall into place. And I like to call those the aha moments, like when you finally get that clarity that you've been looking for and it finally drops into place, and now it seems like all of the resistance that you were feeling, all of the frustration, all of the anger, all of the feeling of stuck that you can't seem to change the situation ends up releasing for you. And those are through what I call aha moments. And there's 3 values that I have that I implement to help me when I'm feeling in that stuck situation. Number one is the value of taking action. And might be like, well, what do you mean, Tina? Like, take action on what specifically? Because that used to drive me crazy because a lot of times when people would say, you just need to take action. And I'm like, bitch, I am fucking taking action all over the place. I don't know what the hell's going on. Why is this not working? And I'd get even more frustrated. And so, one of the things, although taking action is good and it's great if you have that clarity, but when you're feeling in that stuck situation, you don't have the clarity that you need. So, what I find is helpful is to take action in something unrelated to what it is that you are feeling stuck about. Maybe you're trying to make a decision on a career thing and you're like, oh man, you just keep going over and over and over it and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. Maybe it's something in your business that you're trying to, you're just stuck and it just doesn't matter what you do, and the more you focus on the problem, the worse it seems to get. And if you're in that kind of situation, what I find is really helpful is to go find something else completely unrelated and take action on that. Example, lately I've been cleaning out a lot of things and I've been getting rid of a lot of things. And this is something that has been on my to-do list that I've been putting off because I was too busy focusing on other things. Well, I'm kind of stuck in those other things right now, so I'm going to come over here and at least be productive in something that I know I just need to get done. And it's through taking those action, the value of taking action on something completely unrelated. As I've been doing these things, I am getting glimpses of insight. I am getting little pieces of the puzzle that are starting to fall into place. And while I don't have 100% full clarity, I can at least feel an energetic uh, pull forward, that it's not feeling so stuck. It's moving that energy around, right? The second value that is helpful is the value of gratitude. Finding feeling, finding and feeling gratitude in little mundane things that you're doing every day, um, expressing that appreciation when you know that something is challenging for you and somebody else has helped you out with that. Make sure that you send a little note. It doesn't matter if it's 3 in the morning, send a little note saying, hey, by the way, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this thing. I know it's a challenge for me, and you just being there really helped, right? And they might be like, what are you talking about? I didn't even do anything. I was just along for the ride, right? And it's like, you know what? Somebody just being there, being present with you, really, really helps. So, expressing gratitude for those kind of things is beneficial to us and to them. So, it really helps elevate our vibration, our energy level, and it helps elevate our mood and helps us shift from maybe feeling stuck, maybe feeling unappreciated, all of that kind of stuff, and moving to feeling happier. The third thing is the value of insight. And so when I am feeling stuck, and the whole reason that I'm feeling stuck is because I do not have the clarity, I do not have the insight I need in order to be able to take those steps forward. And so, one of the things that actually helps is really understanding, number one, that prayer and meditation for me help. I will ask for clarity, and I usually do this before bed. I'll ask, and it's not something I do out loud, it's not something that I write down, but I will ask for clarity on whatever it is that I'm struggling with. I will ask God to give me some insight of what it is. So the insight doesn't come from me, it's more coming from outside, or it's coming from your higher self, whatever it is that you particularly believe in. I know I struggle with being able to do this stuff, and in fact, the only reason I did it was because I was doing it based off of a dare, right? It's like, okay, I don't believe this thing will work. I don't believe prayer works. I don't believe asking for insight works. So I'm very much a prove them wrong. So okay, fine, I'll do what you said, and it's like, holy shit, this actually works. Okay, well, I guess I'll do it some more. I'll try it again, right? And so continuing on with those kind of things and really requesting that insight. And whether it's God or whether it's just programming your brain, I don't know. Don't have the definitive answer. I call it God. Maybe it's just neuro linguistic programming. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter. All I know is it does work. So it's going through this process of really asking for the insight, asking for the clarity that you need. And you might get something completely random. So I know this morning I woke up, and although it's not full clarity that I'm like, aha, I can move forward, but I got this one little piece of the puzzle. And when you get that kind of insight, when you get that kind of clarity, one of the things that I find really helpful is to kind of, especially if it comes out of left field and you're like, huh, why am I thinking about this? Why is this memory coming to mind? Why is this something somebody said coming to mind? What is the value in that coming to up to the forefront of my perspective? and it's like, huh, why is this, right? So I will question those kind of things, and then I will start to. That's where I start to gain some of that insight. Is like, okay, okay, I can see where this came from. So, for example, um, one of the things that I had been struggling with and where I had been a little bit stuck, and although I've celebrated that I've lost over 100 pounds, I've really been kind of stuck in this up 10 pounds, down 10 pounds kind of range, right? Or staying the same, very, very steady. And that in and of itself, number one, is expressing gratitude and celebrating that success, because of the way that I've lost the weight, it wasn't a quick, so it wasn't like a rubber ball bouncing back. So it's not like, because I've done that so many times up and down the scale between 130 and 400 pounds and going back and forth between those things. And so when I think of the fact that I am able to even stay the same or relatively the same and not bounce back up to where I was 2 years ago, which was about 330 pounds. And so now I'm down to about 225. And sometimes that's a little bit less, and sometimes that's a little bit more, but most of the time it's just pretty much staying even. Now, of course, I know that there's all kinds of physical things that I can do to jumpstart that stuff, but I am much more interested in not just pushing through for the sake of pushing through, because, like I have mentioned before, when I've talked about some of the weight stuff, because I know how to push through. I know how to just grind and just do your workout and just cut back the food and control that portion and stuff like that. And it has led me to be up and down the scale. In fact, a lot of times being super restrictive is like pulling that rubber band back and then you just snap back. And I've done this enough times to know what works for me and what doesn't. And I'm not saying that this will work for everybody, but I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Being super restrictive, all that does is cause me to become even more obsessive about food, even more obsessive about what to do and how to do that and all that kind of stuff. And this time around, I'm much more interested in where is this connected to my trauma, because I feel strongly that when I understand how is this connected and I focus on healing the trauma, then the need for the excess weight, the need for the armor will dissolve in and of itself. So I am, and this applies to many things in your life. It doesn't matter if it's um, you know, overeating, if it is anything that you feel stuck in that you know that you want to do. So, example, one of the things that I did in my 20s is I quit smoking, and I was able to go from 2 packs a day to completely no smoking whatsoever. And that was a challenging process, and I basically just had to white knuckle through that. Um, but I also went through hypnosis in order to be able to help with that. Now, four of us went for this hypnosis, and two of us quit, two of us didn't. The two that quit was my mom and I, and that was because we had no other smokers, no other external stimulus in our environment that could pull us back to the old way of being. And although I did have one slip up, I had to white knuckle. Oh my God, that was so hard. White knuckling that through that one more time, it was like, oh, it seemed like every day that cigarette was calling to me. And it's like, hey, just come on, have a drag. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. The price of cigarettes has gone down, blah, blah, blah. It's all these different things that were whispering in my mind. And when I got the insight and the clarity, one of the pieces that I got insight and clarity on was understanding that different emotions reside in different parts of our body. And so one of the things is in the lungs, it is sadness and loneliness often weighs heavy on our chest. and that's in the lung area and stuff like that. So when I made the connection that for me, smoking was connected to feeling sad and lonely, and when I made that, when that last little piece of the puzzle dropped into place and I saw where the connection was, then I was able to change and do things differently and see things from a different perspective. And now that I understand that the root cause of why I was wanting to smoke was because I felt sad, because I felt lonely. And when I understood that, then I could start looking for alternative solutions to be able to deal with the challenge of feeling sad and lonely, because that is not something that is bad or wrong. Because a lot of times when we're trying to change behaviors within ourselves, we label ourselves as like, especially if we're struggling with being able to do this, whether it's food or drugs or alcohol or smoking or anything, right? We think that when we are not consistent with it, when we can't stick with it, that it is some sort of defective character for ourselves. And while on some level, surface level, that's kind of true, but I like digging down deeper and understanding why did that coping mechanism show up in the first place, because the only reason that we are doing this is usually a maladaptive strategy that is created out of um, a need to be able to deal with some sort of trauma that was too difficult for us to deal with. And at the time, that was the best solution that we could come up with. And guess what? That solution was actually effective, because if it wasn't effective, we would have moved on and we would have tried something else. If smoking was good enough to be able to take your mind off your problems, then that would have been something that you would stick with. If it wasn't, maybe you would escalate to, drugs or alcohol or sex or any of those different things. We end up defaulting to a maladaptive strategy that actually worked for us. And so, in order to be able to truly correct that, in order to eliminate that, we have to dig down to the root cause. And this is much more of a change management kind of practice. But we have to get to the root cause and not just deal with the surface level issues. So, yes, um, you can force yourself and you can just white knuckle it and do the work and end up getting some results. But in order for those results to stick and stay long term, for me, I have to have the understanding of why I had that incorrect coping mechanism in place in the first time. And when I figured that out, everything else is really easy. It's now not a challenge to stick with it. It's a like a flip, a switch flips, and yeah, multiple colors. Hey, Alfred, and quite expensive. Yes. Um, so understanding where these things come from is much more important. And when you get stuck or you're having a plateau or you find that you're really struggling with it, try asking before you go to sleep at night. Ask yourself, I need some clarity, I need some insight on this. And then when you get up in the morning, see what comes to mind, that you might get another piece of the puzzle. Question, why is this particular memory, why is this thought coming up? Where is this coming from? And how does this help me? Uh, you brought me a sombrero here in Mexico City. Thank you. I appreciate that. Are you going to do a dance for me? That would be great. So, um, understanding your insight, asking for that insight, and getting clarity on what it is that you need to do to be able to move forward on this, right? Hello, Alkazam. Sorry, I probably really badly pronounced that. And it's really late, and I'm super tired, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So, guys, these are three things that I do to help get that clarity. And when you do get that insight or that little piece of information, sit with it, reflect on it. Um, Please hug a friend tomorrow. I'll be back soon. Let's go for sushi. That sounds good, Alfred. All right. Have a good night, guys. So, if you guys are just jumping in, I recommend going over to my YouTube channel. Click on subscribe, and that way you'll get notified when I finally upload the replays of the live. So, I'm a little behind on stuff this week, but I will get caught up on them. So, guys, with that, I'm going to wrap things up tonight. Three insights: taking action, and sometimes not taking action on the problem that you have or struggling with, you take some action on something completely different. Value of gratitude, make sure that you're showing appreciation and for yourself, for those around you, and seeking that out. And the value of insight, asking for the insight, asking for the clarity that you need to help you be able to move forward. So, those three things, guys, try them out. Let me know what you think, and I will be back again tomorrow. Have a great night. Take care. Bye bye.